Good. All right. So welcome to the AHEP February, can't believe it's February already, webinar. And today we have our couple of our exhibitors, our sponsors, that are going to speak to us this morning about some of the innovative solutions that they have for some of our very pressing healthcare EM problems that we run into. So we're really excited to have both Lance and Joe. So I'm going to get started by introducing Lance because Lance is going to start first. So Lance Lynch with VOC is going to begin this presentation. Lance is a healthcare emergency preparedness and business continuity subject matter expert. He's spent the past 18 years in emergency management, response, and preparedness. In addition to directing and managing multiple hospital emergency management and business continuity programs, he has either chaired or been heavily involved with his local healthcare coalitions. So Lance is definitely, has been the feet on the ground emergency manager. He's been in your role himself, because I knew him from before, and so I know that Lance knows a lot about the needs of this community, and we're excited to have him tell us a little bit more about VOC. So with that, I'm going to turn that over to you, Lance.
Christy, thanks so much. That if I'm being absolutely honest, I failed to remember I sent that bio over, so that saves me having to cover a couple of items in the slides here. But we'll go ahead and get rolling here. Where I want to start is, essentially just kind of overviewing VOC's value to the healthcare ecosystem. I like to refer to it as an ecosystem because it's generally not just a hospital. It's not just an area of the city, right? You guys are very intricate parts of different stakeholders, different key players and partner agencies in the healthcare continuum of our patients, right? So I want to focus a little bit on that. But it's unfair for me to ask you guys to jump on the bus and have a seat without letting you know where about we're going. A couple of different bullet points here, but largely we're going to be focusing on who we are in terms of previous practitioners and the makeup of VOC's healthcare team and how that kind of sets us apart from some other folks in the space. We're going to be focusing on where we're from that experiential background, how we equip our clients to solve their problems and collaborate appropriately internally to, handle incidents and manage their EM and BC programs. We'll talk a little bit about who we serve, and then there will be a quick word about what we're up to next. So as we click through this, Christy gave my background and my overview, but I am one of two healthcare EM and BC SMEs here at VOC. As Christy shared, I've worked from the coordinator up to the director's position through emergency management, business continuity programs within some pretty large hospital systems. Paramedic before that. Heavily involved in my healthcare coalitions everywhere I've been, including the biggest in the country here in North Central Texas. Currently sitting in Fort Worth, Texas. Although he's not with us on the call, I do like to highlight the experience of my partner in crime here, Anthony. He's from the New York City area. Was part of the largest hospital system on Long Island, immediately adjacent to Metro New York City. There for several years, EMS background as well. But he was in corporate emergency management for 5 or 6 years there. And what that turned into when he and I got together at VOC about 3 years ago was essentially, hey, this kind of sucked about my job. Did this suck about your job? This was a challenge for me. Was it tough for you? Oh, you did things differently, right? And what was born out of those sorts of conversations are some of our flagship products that we're able to offer other folks currently sitting in those shoes. But as I mentioned, we're just a small part of our team. We've got a very robust, very well diversified healthcare team here at VOC, and we consist of everybody that functions in a sales capacity to the solutions capacity. We've got client success managers. We've got a very strong marketing team that frankly helps us polish up and make it look like we know what we're doing, understanding that we're all winging it, right? Our marketing team kind of helps keep everything buttoned up for us and does a lot of the legwork and the coordination to get us to all of these conferences, including our favorite, of course, being AHEP in Frisco at the end of the month. I referred to the healthcare ecosystem earlier, just as that. It's complex, right? There are a lot of moving parts. And one of the things that we understand by virtue of our background and where we've been is that you can't spin one of these gears without touching or moving another one 3 or 4 different degrees or connections away. Um, that said, it's really hard to make a change in pharmacy, even from like a BC planning standpoint, without understanding how that's going to access things like nutritional services, patient transportation for your patients. We understand how that works. We get the complexities, is the long and short of this. What is a VOC? What the heck is VOC? One of the most common questions that I get from folks that are sort of new to us and to what we do. I like letting folks know that we're a singular, customizable, cloud-based platform, which essentially means we exist on the internet, right? We have zero on-premises equipment, but we're utilized for everything in multiple different industries that would circle back to being what we'd refer to in the BC world as RTO of zero, right? So your zero fail stuff, the stuff that you can't afford to have down. We support incident management, incident response rather, emergency management, business continuity planning, mass communication. We've got solutions for information security, for ITDR, IT incident management, life safety, physical security. So essentially all things emergency, and then all of those spokes in the wheel, right? The gears in the clock that would be immediately adjacent or touching those departments. And again, for practitioners by practitioners. As such, right, given our background, we're able to kind of sit back, talk with each other, and figure out, internally and externally amongst our clients, what do healthcare EM and BC pros need? Um, number one on every AAR I've ever done, every AAR I've ever heard of is communication. Comms, right? Stuff always breaks down. So, in addition to our mass communication emergency notification offerings, we do facilitate real-time operational communication during incidents within those response modules. That can tie in with customizable dashboards. We can serve as a document repository to help with policy management. Tasking and reminders are tied in as well. We love those from a practitioner standpoint because it turns into a set it and forget it sort of thing. You set the task, walk away. We're going to be as annoying as you want us to from a platform perspective by reminding, escalating via the pre-described pathways we put in place. We do mapping integration, and this has been particularly helpful the past couple of days looking at the nor'easter, right? That's kind of come down on New England and the surrounding areas. We're able to pull in stuff from the National Weather Service and any other authoritative source that's got those, Esri, feature map layers or the ArcGIS, et cetera. And then we can also tie in your IRGs. So your incident specific response guides with the automated tasks, et cetera. What folks appreciate more than our information security, right? The SOC 2 and the ISO compliance and that 5 nines uptime is the community we put together. And you'll get a sense for this at the happy hour that we're going to invite you to here in a little bit. You'll be able to talk with some of our clients about what we do, what they do, how they utilize us. But the rubber meets the road in situations like that, those that have been popping up the past couple of days, where we get we had the Pineapple Express dropping a bunch of rain on some of our LA and San Francisco clients last week, the nor'easter this week. Our community puts all of our healthcare users in a singular space where they can simply ping people with an @ sign. And the communication there the past couple of days has been excellent because they're asking for actionable checklists from, New York is asking Miami and San Francisco is asking LA. They're asking each other. You can share those checklists within VOC and then actually make them yours. Some of the other kind of neat conversational points that have been popping up the past couple of months are surrounding things like AI, right? Now you can poll the other 50 healthcare clients to see how they're utilizing AI in their resilience plans. Some really awesome conversations have been coming there. But in knowing what folks need and continuously testing the waters to see what those solutions need to include has really led to some of our flagship products. The newest being VOC Vitals. We launched that officially last summer, unofficially the end of 22. But it includes that all of those features we talked about tied together in not only our incident management capabilities, but also the program management stuff that you don't love to do, I don't love to do, but is ultra important to get done. So AARs, improvement plans, HVAs, meeting management, 96-hour planning, it's all wrapped in there as well. Business continuity is its own beast. We are fully functional end to end as far as that's concerned. Healthcare coalitions represent another flagship solution that'll be coming here in 2024. This pulls together everything that you need for partner agency involvement, communication, real-time dashboards again, grant deliverables for your HPP funding and stuff like that, mass notification capabilities, and then we have a very robust rounding solution that's not only used in healthcare for things like infection prevention rounding, EOC rounding, physical security rounding, but we see that used in other industries as well, namely aviation, doing airport inspections, all sorts of cool stuff. And Paramount Pictures did a really neat webinar for us about 3 months ago, talking about how they utilize VOC to manage the physical security rounding operations for all of their movie sets all over the globe. So really neat there. I would encourage you guys to check those out at voc.com/webinars. But we do a lot of other stuff for hospitals as well, and that healthcare ecosystem, right? Everything from EOP management to regulatory compliance tracking, pod planning for your pharmacy, your public health partners. We've kind of got it all wrapped in here. We talked a little bit about who we serve, and of course, we can't fit all of our, I think we're coming up on 400 clients into a singular slide here, but this gives you a good cross section. We've got Paramount Pictures, who we just mentioned a couple of minutes ago. You'll recognize some of the folks like Yale University, SMU. We've got healthcare players in here, the Children's Hospital of Orange County's front and center. Atlas Air, City of Grand Rapids. I think I saw Stacy from Grand Rapids on here earlier. But we serve a lot of folks kind of all over the place. We're in multiple different industries, multiple different verticals, and the benefit to our client, or our clients, plural, is that the solutions we find in one industry can generally be uh, translated into another industry. For example, if the NTSB, who's one of our clients, is doing something really neat for their investigations that somebody in the healthcare realm would like to replicate, generally we can translate those solutions from one industry to another. But if you want to learn more, you want to, meet with us, hang out a little bit. Folks ask all the time, where can we find you? What conferences you're going to be at? And the short answer to that, at least for 21, 22, and 23, has been everywhere, right? Last year was an exquisitely busy travel season. It started with AHEP in Scottsdale of last year, and it ended in Houston with a couple of events for the Association of Continuity Professionals. But in between, you'll find us at the California Hospital Association Conference, which is a good one, whether or not you're in Cali. The NHCPC, the Joint Commission Conference. We were in Nashville for the Healthcare Safety and Security Conference. And these large group pictures that you see are our clients, right? The folks that we tend to hang out with, the company that we keep at these happy hour events. And that's a shark down in the lower left-hand corner, by the way. Jeff from our team is a shark. If he ever tells you different, don't believe him. He'll show up with a paradise and run the table. If you're interested in hanging out, meeting us, learning a little bit more about what we do, swing by booth 7. You've also got a QR code here on your screen. It's an RSVP form for the happy hour. That'll be a VOC sponsored event on the 27th, and it's literally steps away. We're in the mall, right behind the hotel itself. Feel free to drop us a line there. We'd be happy to chat with you. Happy to give you some more information on day 1 of the conference. But I want to thank you guys for your time. I understand sitting and listening for 15 minutes, somebody like myself kind of ramble on, can get sort of dry over your lunch hour. Thanks for being here. You've got a QR code with my LinkedIn there. You've got my email address if you need anything else. And again, it's voc.com for anything else you want to go ahead and peruse as well. Christy, that's all I've got. I'll kick it back over to you.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Lance. I appreciate the information and the invite to some fun at the AHAP annual conference. Does anybody have any questions for anybody? Or for Lance? Sorry, for anybody? If not, I'm going to move on and introduce our next speaker. And Joe, I'll let you, can you share your screen easily? I'll let you get that up while I'm talking. So Joe Bossy is with Rave Medical and has been working with the emergency preparedness and emergency management um, and safety and security leaders within the healthcare industry since 2016. He's been working with senior care organizations and rural hospitals to major healthcare systems like Mayo Clinic, Johns Hopkins Medicine, and Northwell Health, and everything in between. I know Joe has been at this on this work for a long time as well, and I know he has heard all about all of the things that are needed within emergency and mass notification. I do think that this emergency and mass notification field in general is just like constantly needs are coming up and ever changing, and it's just amazing to me how on top of things you have to stay just to keep up. So again, I'm gonna let you know what, Motorola Rave, that's new. So I'm gonna let Joe tell us a little bit about that too, because that was a surprise change to your logo. So I'm excited about that. Joe, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Christy, and Lance also. If you squint really hard in the bottom right, you can see Rave Mobile Safety, a Motorola Solutions company. So we're now wholly owned by Motorola for a little over a year. So there's some changes there currently, but mostly in the works that are going to affect a lot of our healthcare customers. Hopefully next year when we do something like this, I can spend some time talking about that in some more detail. Right now, it's just rumors as far as what I know. But some interesting rumors for sure for our healthcare clients that are using Motorola tools like radios and cameras and other solutions as well. So emergency mass notification, if you know Rave, you've heard of us or ever worked with us or currently work with us, you know that we do emergency and mass notification. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about that today. I want to talk more about some enhancements, some changes. Like Christy said, this is always changing. Our customers' needs are always changing. And so one of the reasons why Motorola purchased or chose to purchase Rave in our space is because of the fact that we're aware of that. We have customers in all different markets, and we listen to what they need and we make changes accordingly. So again, just to drive home the emergency mass notification piece, which most people with the titles that are on this call and that will hear this are familiar with. Emergency mass notification will allow you the ability to send messages to targeted groups of people or to everybody across the organization on various modes of communication when you need to. Common ones: SMS text, email, voice calls, push notifications to your mobile app users if they've downloaded your app, and other modes as well, like desktop alerts, very common in healthcare. Similar to Viochi, we're a completely cloud-based tool as well. So even the desktop alerting solution doesn't require any hardware to be on site. We host it all. You use it, you access it through the internet, and should be able to do anything that you need to within Rave from anywhere, from your mobile phone if you need to, or of course at your laptop, desktop, etc. So on to what is new. And it's not super new, but it's newly sufficiently integrated. So 2 years ago, just about, Rave purchased AppArmor, a employee safety and engagement mobile app provider, which has some very unique capabilities. And over the past 2 years, we've been working to integrate them into our various platforms for the different markets that we serve. As Christy said, healthcare is where I've been focused since day one at Rave, so going on 8 years now. And we're seeing healthcare organizations, everybody has an emergency notification system nowadays, right? The mobile app is something that we're seeing be adopted far more than it was a couple of years ago. So I think this acquisition that we had of AppArmor was really timely. We had a mobile app in the past, but it definitely didn't have the capabilities that this does. And I'm going to talk about what those are. So this is a extremely customizable app. Again, we had an app that allowed for some of the same features that this has, but it was lacking in some areas that AppArmor had mastered. the customization piece is a huge one. You could put your logo on our old app, so that when people were using it, they were seeing your logo, but they were still going to the app store and they were downloading the Rave app. Today, when you deploy our App Armor tool, they go to the app store, they're looking for your organization's name to get access to that app. So it's completely customizable. It has features that are going to allow for personal safety, which I'll discuss. And then if you take it a couple of steps further, it has the ability to be a personal safety as well as an engagement app for the audiences that you want to deploy this to. And I'll talk about what some of those audiences might be. And so the customization, aside from the brand recognition capabilities, like searching for your organization's name in the App Store, and then everything, when people download this, they're not even going to know really that they're using a third-party product. To them, it's going to look and feel like they're working on an app that you all designed. It's completely white labeled. And it allows you to build an app that works and fits your organization and the needs that you are trying to address, or create a different app. So one for the whole organization is an option, one app across the organization for your different sites, or the ability to plug in a different app and a different feel and different features for your different hubs. Obviously, with the major healthcare systems that we work with, it doesn't always make sense to have one app for each of their hospitals. They might even be in different states and have completely different needs than the headquarters or the main facilities do, right? And so each organization or each facility can have its own version of this app. And then when you have staff that migrate from one site to another, or they work at multiple facilities, they'll seamlessly be able to leverage the app that you've created for that facility. And you can also provide one pathway just for your staff and just open this up to your staff, or you can take it a couple of steps further, like a lot of the healthcare systems are starting to do now, and create a path for the other audiences that you might want to engage with, like contractors. It's always been an issue, even in emergency notification. How do we make sure we include contractors? Well, we feel like we've got that kind of covered now. With a mobile app, that's another tricky subject. How do we make sure contractors are able to engage with the tools that we want them to have access to? And this allows for a really easy way for those folks to continue, as you see over here on both of these versions of the app, as a guest, and be presented with a version of an app that doesn't require them to have a company-owned email address or authenticate themselves with the organization with SSO to access features that you've provided for them. Okay. So if we were to deploy this just as a safety, security, and emergency management tool, like many do, and here's a perfect example of that, we might present staff with the features that are designed just for those purposes and leave out all of these other capabilities until we're ready to deploy them or leverage them. You know, that's going to take coordination if you're going to use some of these other features with other departments, and that will make more sense when I get to, I think, the next slide. But the features that you might present to staff for these purposes would be things like a panic button, which has some capabilities there, which could go directly to 911 and or on-site security if you've got those resources for the situations like, you know, that we hear about, unfortunately, staff members walking to their car on their own late at night in a parking lot or a parking garage, and they've got, unfortunately, no way to reach back to their resources that could potentially help them in that scenario while they're on the move, right? And this is one way to do that. We've also got a feature that is designed for your staff that are out in the field called Work Alone, and some describe it as a check-in, which is going to present them with a registration form that they can fill out, and during their visit, be checked on periodically throughout the visit to confirm their safety status. Virtual escort, let's go back to walk into your car in a parking garage. Similarly, there's the ability to set up something like a timer. So if they should be walking to their car and it should take them 5 to 10 minutes, they can set a virtual escort session for that period of time. When they get to their car, they'll turn it off. But if they do not get to their car, they do not turn it off, a notification will be triggered to on-site resources that this employee didn't check in when they said that they should, and share location with your security team about where they are. And then emergency response procedures, plans that you've built for your staff members to have access to, so that, when X happens, here's what to do. And they've got easy access to it right there in their pocket. So if you were to take, again, a few steps further and deploy this out to the organization as a whole and get other departments involved and make some friends in those other departments to have access to this app, and also provide staff with more daily use cases of the app, there's some very cool things that you can do with that. And some common ones that we see in healthcare, but by no means a full list. The list would be very long if I were to provide the whole thing. Campus maps is one that we see commonly placed on there for people to access. Again, your staff, maybe they're coming to one of the facilities for the day and they're not commonly there. They can have a campus map and access to that. But also, again, remember, contractors, and we're even seeing healthcare organizations providing this app to other visitors, potential customers, patients, family members of patients, any other visitors that are coming in might have access to a version of this app, which would be, again, completely different than the app that would be presented to your staff. When I open up my version of the app for Rave Motorola, at the top, like you see here, where there's a little blurb right above the icons, that's linked to the Twitter feed for the organization. And the latest tweets will scroll through. So when you open it up, you're seeing the latest tweets that the organization posted out. Or we're seeing some publicly traded organizations are putting their stock price at the top, things like that, depending on what the organization wants to do. Org charts, call directory, an icon to bring them to a current events page, what's going on at the organization, job postings, right? Things like that. In addition to these emergency plans. And as you see here, we've kind of got the emergency and safety and personal safety tools up at the top and colored a little bit differently to stand out. So, just a quick feature highlight. The last thing I want to mention, actually, I think I'll touch on it on the next slide. So I'll keep going. If I don't, I'll touch on it at the end. So the work alone feature, I'm only going to touch on 2 feature highlights. If you want to learn more about the app, please let's reach out to me or come and stop by our booth and we'll talk more about it. We'll be talking a lot about this at the show. But the work alone feature, that automated check-in, here's an example of a registration form. Again, completely customized. You all will decide what questions are important for you to know the answers to. When your staff member is registering a work alone session, they're going into a home care visit. They're going to be by themselves before they leave their car. This is something that they would set up ahead of time before they walk into the home. And again, you can have whichever questions you'd like. You can have drop-down questions, free form answer questions. You can have required fields and optional fields. And once they've registered this, they've let us know at least how long the visit is going to be and how often they would like the app to check in on them, which is something you can set as well and not leave up to the employee. There's reasons to do both, and we can discuss those. Once they've set it up, the app's going to do what we've asked it to. It's going to ask them to confirm their status throughout the visit, their safety status. It's going to check in on them and ask them to do that. And if they do, great. We'll continue on and wait for the next check. If they don't, we're going to notify instantly your team of this employee's expired session or lack to check in, and share some information with you that you can use to respond to that scenario and or engage 911 resources in the area to assist that person. God forbid that's necessary. A huge tool that we're seeing leveraged now across the country in healthcare because of what we all know being in this field going on. Right. Another feature highlight, just the plans and procedures, because this is something that I know is important to emergency management folks specifically. The other tool is more safety security, which I know is involved here as well. But emergency management, emergency preparedness, you all spend your time thinking about how to respond to emergency scenarios that affect safety and security of staff and visitors and patients and operations of the organization. So these plans that you've designed for your everyday staff to have access to can be easily accessible through the app. When they open up the icon, they'll be presented, or could be presented with a page that looks similar to this, where you've already laid out your plans for all these various scenarios that you've spent time preparing for, and preparing response procedures for your staff for, so they can easily access them. They're going to be in a very easy to read format as well, which is nice. And a nice additional benefit is they look great when the Joint Commission shows up. Your staff members, when they're asked, what are you supposed to do in the event of X emergency, they don't have to guess. They can pull out their phone and show that they've got it right there in their pocket to access at any point in time. I think that's it. So thank you all. If there's any questions, of course, let's hear them. And other than that, we'll see you in Frisco.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate you sharing all that information. And from the perspective of a mother with a teenage daughter, I would really like for you to alter that app and make that something that we can use, at home. Work alone seems like, have a teenage daughter. That's really cool.
It's funny you say that. Real quick, there's a friend walk feature in there too. So, I mentioned this virtual escort. Friend walk feature, if you activate that, allows you to pick a friend, any of your contacts, to actually watch and be your virtual escort for any situation you're in, like going for a hike, going for a walk, going for something like that. You can actually have one of those and it will check on you periodically, and it's not going to notify the organization if you don't check in, but it will notify your contact that you've set up. So it's funny you say that. Just throw that in there. There's a lot of features there's a ton of features I'm not able to really go into on a call like this, but that we'll be able to talk about at the event. So
very interesting. Very interesting. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, everybody's quiet. All right. Well, thank you very much for presenting your guys' information. Just for everybody's knowledge, both VOC and Rave, Motorola Rave, are gold sponsors at AHAB, and we appreciate them being here with us and supporting our organization and our conference. Please visit them at the conference at the end of the month. We're 2 short weeks away. If you haven't registered, haven't gotten your hotel rooms, hop on the website and get it done. We're looking forward to being live and in person and seeing everybody there. So thank you guys for being here, and we appreciate your time and your information today. Have a great day, everybody. And can I get
Thanks,
Joe and Lance to